It actually reminds me of my days in the University of Benin. I've been as chapter secretary, and later I now contested for the office of the national president of the CAS students. And standing here, seeing the sea of birds here, it means that there is hope for a CAS students. Don't know for no one else. Don't know because okay, it been on that time. They just felt that they had more and they were and we started in a very, very humble way. But today I'm very, very happy that there is no leader as far as the CAS South and the Kano is concerned, and even in Delta State, that are many where Kuku and the CAS students were Simon were not. It means that to an extent we have been able to build a name for ourselves. And see my brother Cindy Matthias, when I was the SA Governor of Student Affairs, it was announced JCC. Thank you very much. No. And that time he gave us the opportunity to coordinate the entire students in the states. And look at any person be done that time, even at the state level. Even man was just nurse and modesty. But because I came from this humble background, we made it very, very important to see that we institutionalize Paracor as far as the state strata of Comrie community is concerned. Olobri, we initiated the Comrie community football tournament, where the Paracors also were given the privilege to attend. It was then that the entire scope of the Comrie community I realized that we cannot discuss about the next two announcements without actually identifying with the president or the various ethnic nationalities, because don't make up the actual companies at the various level. You know, no matter if you know whether you're a NAS leader or you're a NADESTU leader, you must come from a community. You must come from a particular ethnic group. And that is what this association stands for. Today, I make it good to say that NAIS, the CAS student, is one of the most famous national ethnic groups we have in Delta State. It's not just because of during our time as SA and SSC students to the governor that we're able to bring relevance to the ethnic nationality. It's because today at your own level and with the help of the NAIS stakeholders, we'll be consistent when it comes to transition as far as NAIS is concerned. And I appreciate our stakeholder chairman, Comrade Lucky Eyobo, who have been steering the affairs of the NAIS stakeholders. And vis-a-vis making sure that we are able to coordinate the leadership of the students at their various schools and levels. I want to sincerely appreciate each and every one of us. And again, at your various chapters, you reactivate the association at your various campuses. The reason is because I remember when I was sworn in as national president of the CAS student, we had just 5 active chapters that time. And that was Ekpoma, Awuchi, Uniben, Abraka, and the College of Education. But when we came on board that time, the person of Obia, Austin, he was the chapter president of DESU, Abraka, and he was the INEC chairman that conducted my election. And Comrade Precious Lahubin, he was the chapter president of degree program, College Delta University, Abraka, DESU campus. And when we came, we felt that it was very, very important. I can't be asking the national president of the CAS student, but when one meeting of the senators, only 5 chapters in the area. And we now intensified effort at that time to see that we're able to reactivate all the various chapters. And that's when the likes of Uko Puli, UNN, ESUT, Imuniji on that time, we're able to reactivate all those structures. And before we left, they had 17 active chapters. It wasn't actually an easy task. The most important thing is that as a leader, you must be able to give your followers hope. That there is hope in it. That time, the person of Comrade Mayor Stanley Ogubi, who was the chapter president of Okwashiko Polytechnic. Because he now, you will now begin to ask yourself a question. I think the channel is good, and I'm going to work with the channel. And at times, when we get to our various campuses, we'll find ourselves speaking good English. And one form, but there are so more than like a way the channel. It becomes a very, very big problem. But I know that my involvement with NAIS, that's what made me to understand that And eventually, when it was time for me to get married, I now married someone that is from Adishima from Ibin. Because I don't know, I don't have that thing, and I must have your law. And today is helping us. So it means that when we're in our various campuses, or even the person of Comrade Saturday, where I cost 30 million, he was the chapter president of Abraka, president. He eventually got married to his vice president. And today they are happily married. But the funniest thing is that when he was contesting to be the chapter president, the vice president was against him. The vice was supporting someone else. He know the time Jesus at all. But eventually, when they got to the Sojourners High School, from there the relationship about him, and today they are happily married. So what I'm trying to say is that a lot is there when we're able to sit down and communion as brothers and as friends. Because if they were like Okuna is a women, they're in Lagos. They have been based in Lagos. But the only way they can relate to their brothers is through the various NAIS at the various chapter level. So I want to employ each and every one of them, most especially the senators. We must endeavor to see that at our various chapters, we activate the consciousness amongst our brothers and our sisters and our students to see that when it comes to meeting in the class students, that we're always together. And LSN support to regard that time. I remember that the first program we did, the people who actually supported our program, they are businessmen in the Ireland. There was no politician. But it was on the long run. When they saw that the leadership was well repositioned, they're not kidding in all our ideas. And since then, he has been supporting the association. And when many one thing about students that time, if you are very active in student system, when you know any person will award, he was one that advised me, now that they are the national president, that I should try as much as possible to reduce Oku award or calendar. That's why I never did anything calendar. Also because you know back in that man, all ministries they work, I was saying I don't make calendar, just by here pitching. That we must begin to look at something very, very more constructive, because you know he's an intelligent man. That we must begin to think of this man or reconstructive. That once we are able to do it in that manner, that definitely he will support us. And throughout my time, he me award, he made him calendar. And he's remained with us in all our moves. He was supporting us. Okay, that support way. That was when we now met in proper consultation with stakeholders. We now said that there is need for us to gazette it as our grand patron. And why gazetting that we should not have any other grand patron? We may have patrons at the various one, but at the national level we must have one grand patron. And that's when we now came. It was here at the National Hall. We now did a proper endorsement. Or rather at the Shalom University, we now did a proper endorsement. Where the Senate brought in their midst, we now endorsed him as the grand patron of NAIS. And since then, since 2011, if I'm not mistaken, he has been the grand patron of NAIS. And today, when you look at the records of Nigeria, I can say that thank God that we didn't make any mistake in choosing him as our grand patron. Because it's one man that he has taught us that the higher you go, the more humble you should become. And I haven't served as senator, I don't know serve as governor. We have seen that he's a man with integrity. And he the channel 1-1, and with the channel. My father-in-law is a lecturer. Today is an associate prof with the University of Delta. But then, in the defunct College of Education, there was a time he told me that the staff strength of College of Education was even more than the student in the College of Education. But he took a grand patron to look into it, knowing fully well that no and he was not able to transform that school into a full-fledged university where we have the University of Delta today. When College of Education was College of Education, I grew up in Aliami back when I was in Bejoya. We did whereby you see the population of college, the college students in the ground. Most of our elites you have here, well, it's only college students as at that time, because it was a famous College of Education where you're talking about colleges in Nigeria, not even in Delta. But later it was deserted. When you get to the college, the result is you want to reserve values in it. But today, each one at the school now, they are the population now. And by November, we'll be getting our first graduates. It means that he was a visionary leader and will continue to uphold his legacy. And I told people something, so this is a land. And as an engineer, we must begin to work with statistics. That if this institution have about 20,000 students, and each student is spending 10,000 naira weekly, it means they are spending 200 million naira weekly. That is 800 million naira on monthly basis. This is the kind of money that is circulating within the current economy as we are speaking today. There is nothing, there is no development current anywhere in a university. Because even though they spend the billions of naira to set up a factory in the land, there is every tendency that in the next few years, it's either we're sending poor road network or government policies of poor patronage. But one thing about universities is that the older, the better. The University of Benin, and this legacy will be changed. It's just like what Akusade did for Dekoma. When you see someone in the day, you have a person or the shoemaker call, but in the afternoon, we should make like the receiver. Being able to comport yourself in a very, very reasonable way. Now you must begin to see this institution as your heritage, as your pride, and you must protect it. Ono Amanes University wa ba keji and aba in the channel. Engr Amanes Security channel wa ba in. It means that you must see yourself as stakeholder and ambassador of that university, so that we'll be able to sustain it. If there's any meaningful information here, so that you can succeed as a people. Nice. Can't say how we started. I thank God that today I'm very jail as far as nice is concerned. And get the Guayana will have a meeting there. People will begin to doubt it. But I want to thank the leadership for being able to rejuvenate that hope and that consciousness amongst our people. I want to appeal to us that once we go back to our campuses, we must bring back that consciousness. It's very, very important because each yearly or money. And the guy say, I remember at that time in the University of Benin, when we go to our lecture theaters, they will teach us in English language. We are all forming as young people who just came back from secondary school. But once we get to the Faculty of Education, where we normally hold our general meeting, when we get here, we speak in our dialect. And there are some persons so many, about going on Mumaika language. Someone like the legacy of the student. So that just the way I'm standing here today, I am married and now purely into politics. That tomorrow some of you will be able to stand and say that this is the institution, our modern institution that we operated, and we are glad that the legacy with the people are there nurturing it. And when I became the SSA to governor on student affairs, that was where when I said there will be need for us to have a secretariat. And that program is something that so many nice stakeholders, they have been one championing it. And the program, the foundation, was started by His Excellency Snido Dodofa as governor. And that is the secretary to many here in Baham. And I know that in our last town hall meeting, I asked the local government to finish it. And I want to assure you that we are going to finish it. The reason there was someone who was one time national president of the CAS student. He came, passed through this level, and the security was still lying fallow there. We will finish it, and I know that okay, if finish it, that will be the first secretariat of any ethnic nationality in Delta States. As a matter of fact, even the project, we have approved it at the ESCO level, concerning the project of the completion of the project. So I want to assure us that by God's grace, once we start, it's going to be start to finish. We are going to finish the project. And now also, when we came on board as council chairman, yes, it's true that our primary responsibility is to see that aside the security of our people, we must be able to see how we put smiles on the face of our people through infrastructure, okay, well, but while we are doing that, I also felt that there's an opportunity for under nice, seeing one of them at the helm of affair at the local government level. And that is why we also now give approval that we must initiate scholarship to a CAS students.